you're gonna go up against them like that, and you know it's gonna be bloody.
So we'll see if the picks and bans are also geared towards those team fights as we get into it. And yeah, let's see. Yesterday G2 did play Smolder, so I think that win does not count.
Yeah, and I think the game we just had was one of the first games where Smolder was just let through completely. Like no ban, no pick as well.
It's gonna be a first pick Smolder here, I think.
Well,
What else do they need to ban otherwise? Oh.
Because they banned Lucian Nami.
Yeah.
So let's see.
I'm curious to see, like, we've seen a lot of Smolder first pick come through like this.
Varus is banned now.
Hey, fans are happy about that.
Now, I mean, you can go a certain champion, I won't say because I didn't pick it yet.
No. So
Let's see if it's locked. There is Senna also open. You can go Orianna Rail as a combo. I don't know.
Oh, I want to see it locked in now, so we know what the OP. What do you think? What would you play against Smolder? No, not you, Goldberg, because you don't want to.
What would I? I'm not playing AD carry into that's for sure. I actually thought that I would love to see the Kaiser approach we've seen in the LPL.
Maybe.
But this is an old classic.
You cannot
from Sama
confirm nor
as well.
deny, but it is a Kog'Maw. Do you think it's good?
I can't say.
Okay.
let's say in another word, I might have played against this. I might have played this matchup.
Yeah.
And
Fair
it
enough.
might have not felt good.
And
So
yeah.
Okay.
well, we can do this. Look, this is
You know what's coming on 3 because this is the combo they were playing in last year.
Exactly.
Spring or was it summer?
Yeah, no,
Or
we had,
spring.
well, it was last year. Let's
They
just
were
do that
blind
when we don't
picking
know.
that combo on cooldown, and that's probably what Mad is expecting on 3. So now they are taking a good matchup support into the Braum. So Rakan.
Yeah, I like that, because most of the time you would see like, oh,
Yeah,
80
now they
carry
are
and then out
on
on
the
2, right? And then if Braum comes through, now you can just wait for it on 3.
Yeah, I mean this is most likely that what's coming up. So you should take a good support into Braum. You can go Rakan, you can go Milio. Or maybe you drop support.
What would you do, GB?
Well, I think it's very interesting. I don't think I would blind the Braum here at all. I think, yeah, okay, if we just go for a safe one. If I see it still be enabled, I feel like, okay, you can just claim one of the strong mid laners. Talia as well, it's okay, but it's like you don't really know what you're playing it into, and it's hard to reach Kog'Maw in the backline. So I think probably one of the safest mid laners you
Yeah,
can
also
have right now with Ori.
you denied like the Orianna Rare combo.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting now. Like you could go Braum like you did in the past, but and also there's also have so much value here. Even though
Maybe
it's paired
they
up with
flex the Kog'Maw as well.
No
It's
way.
into Orianna, I don't know, but yeah, most likely okay. Kog'Maw Milio.
Amelia is interesting. We've seen so much prior on him in the LPL, not just specifically with Lucian, but with any pick. We've even seen it pair up with Caitlyn. You already know the range that's coming out from a Kog'Maw. That's just going to be a mecha range now with the cozy campfire too.
If it's Kog'Maw EDC.
Ah.
Because I don't know, I mean Caps was smiling very much.
You sometimes do that. You look over when they lock in a champion. You're like, is
No,
that
I
person
don't.
smiling?
If they are smiling, I would lose my confidence. So I don't look at them.
Never look at a G2 player if you want to win.
But
I wonder what well, Rel's already locked in. Because Yike had tweeted yesterday, it is the split of carry Yike. Because he played one Lee Sin game. And now he might be back on Rel.
yeah, sometimes you have to be utility.
Yeah, I feel like he was just trying to manifest that. You know, he was happy to get a Lee Sin game. And to be fair though, props to him. That Lee Sin game looked unplayable, but he made it work. But going back to do the heal on Rel, it makes sense when you have a carry like Kog'Maw. You want to set him up for success, and you can't be too greedy with multiple carries in a team comp, right? So already going with the Kog'Maw, it makes sense to grab a Rel too.
They buffed Kog'Maw. I forgot.
Yeah, the slow on Eve, so it went from 30% on rank 1 to 40%, which is quite nice, just because it's not the ability as an AD carry that you maxed. But also a nice quality of life update was the fact that your Q doesn't have a channel time anymore. It used to be 0.25, now it's based off attack speed.
Okay,
so you can actually like auto Q without it feeling mega awkward, and that's something it did in the past a bit.
But I don't think it's like a big. It's like a buff. That
no, it's like a minor quality of
broken.
life, right? Like it's not something that's gonna completely change the champion, but you know.
Now they match the push on mid and the pressure with Nico, and they have team fight toll. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's like equal skill, I really like Mad Draft because I feel like you have Orianna, which is very strong. You have Ivern to match the clear speed of Rel and nice team fighting and like zone control with the bushes and Daisy, and you have Smolder that wins at 25 minutes. So yeah, I think if they don't skill check on bot, it's gonna be a bit rough.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder what kind of thought process BB is looking at here. We haven't seen the best Aatrox is in the west just yet, but it's something we've seen slammed in.
It's very good actually.
I mean, there's Aatrox, there's Na as well. You want to reach the back line with Nico, put some team fighting as well. That could be decent for top lane. I don't know what BB else has played. TS band, Volibear's band.
Oh, that's very good, I think, because you usually want to outrange Smolder. Because if you go like Aatrox or melee top, I think you're just gonna be a tool for him to queue your backline. So I really like Jace here.
Okay, so does the Jace keel it over for you to G2, or do you still think Mad Lions has a better draft if the hands diff is there for them?
I mean, now I really like G2 draft. I think Kog'Maw would just walk mid and just auto them with Medio.
Okay, so sway to G2. What do you think, GB?
Well, I think it's one of those where it doesn't feel like a complete draft cap as we've seen quite often. Like, both teams has very playable compositions. So this is the one where so much of it comes down to execution. And on execution level, G2 has shown to be the better team. So that probably gives them an easier time playing it.
All right, fair enough. Thank you both. And let's get into Mad Lions versus G2.
Let's get on to Summoner's Rift for our final game of the day. Mad Lions Koi taking on G2 Esports. Only 2 teams have won on red side so far this spring. G2 being one of them against BDS yesterday and SK earlier on. It's a blue side favored Rift, it seems, here in the LEC. Mirwin, don't face check it, Mirwin. You don't need to, just hang out in that pixel bush. That's what he's gonna do. Is he? Or G2 deciding if they want to back or not. Line of scrimmage laid out by MDK.
Yeah, I thought that G2 were moving up here to essentially do what we've seen for like the Twisted Fates and stuff, right? Which is try and get that deeper ward so then you can continuously harass with the Jace and start to push in the wave and make sure you're in a good spot. And not let Mirwin really get into a position where he's able to contest wave state or have a safe opportunity, but not going for it. Instead, maybe expecting some sort of counterplay, but I'd be kind of surprised with the level 1 that MDK have.
Elioya and Mirwin now stepping in. Ward placed. Looks like that's going to be all that happens. Elioya gets the ward in. Obviously, Ivan, he's clear, very much facilitated by the fact you just use your friend of the forest, set up all the buffs, and then you can smite 1 or 2 as and when. Hansama and Mickey were covering this blue side jungle to make sure that there was no invade from MDK, so they are second to the lane. Alvaro and Super waiting. Oh, there's a stack. It's happening. Super's on his way.
They'll never recover from this.
No.
It's over.
It's 2 stacks already.
Okay.
Hansama has no stacks to the 2 from Super.
What an amateur.
I know, right?
Mickey doing a nice job of harassing here, though. Alvaro ended up taking the headbutt, use it on Hansama, but it means that you don't really have the pulverize to actually threaten it all in onto Mickey in this level 1, which obviously would be a bit difficult, but does mean that Mickey just getting some nice harass down onto Alvaro as Hans is getting to attack the wave. Still, though, Super going to be able to hit the level 2 here first, which is not something that ideally happens when you're in the double range matchup.
Yeah, I think it's more Alvaro and Super being in the wave already when Mickey and Hans got down there, made it a lot easier for them to get that wave prior. And Alistair not really a champion until level 2, although that headbutt did pay off dividends. Yike looking for this top side, could even go for an invade, but Elioya has already cleared away his blue and his wolves. So now just maybe pathing towards mid as Fescawi has fallen down to about half HP, as has Caps. A gank possibility. Yike running in. Caps with the root. There's the stun! And Fescawi will fall for first blood. G2 on the board.
Nicely done there. Flash forward from Caps. Manages to set up the root and then an easy pickoff. So Yike, even just getting that transitional gank is beautiful because, yes, it costs him a flash, but like from a timing perspective, he's totally fine. He's just going to be able to clear out his bot side, although still hovering in the mid lane, maybe expecting that Elioya might try and come by.
Some pings actually coming out from the G2 bot lane, I assume, saying, hey, we are all the way pushed up to our tower. Elioya could have invaded during this time. So with the wave being in the position it was, Super now losing some health means that Mickey and Hansama could react if Elioya steps in, which he did do a little bit, but the blue was already being taken by Yike, and with the smite should be able to secure it. Super and Alvo now waiting around the corner, but Yike able to get his blue. Is a camp behind. The Scuttle Crab will fall. Good knockback there with the fire kick as Hansama pops the ghost, look for more of an invade. Alvaro going in. Mickey flashes the wall, and Alvaro falls. Elioya now needs to get the hell out of here. He has the flash, but can he get out? Red buff and blue buff healing him up just a little bit, that red at least, and he does burn the flash. G2 2-0 with almost 1,000 gold lead at 4 minutes.
And that was my biggest worry if Mad Lions Koi tried to go for some sort of invade, was just how low Supa was. Like, Supa not really in position to really threaten aggressively in those fights because he was already sub half HP. So Hans Sama coming in, able to threaten Supa off of the fight, and then Mickey, good flash over the wall, and now we're looking for the Hex Flash on Frescowy.
Yikes just skipped all his camps, man. He's done 4 camps so far. Didn't get a Scuttlecraft, now goes back up towards his top side. Razorbeak's the probability. The control ward did spot out Yike as he went for that second mid lane gank, but let's have another look at this bot lane play.
Yeah, Supa's just so incredibly low here, and you get a ton of value off of Mickey having that cozy campfire here as well. So Supa already pushed out of the fight because of the positioning here, and then they try to turn on to Mickey, but it ends up being a flash over the wall. Then you overextend here as Alvaro to try and set that up, and the cozy campfire giving the extra auto attacks just means that Oyoya has to run for the hills.
That was actually a crazy good cue as well for Mickey to stop the combo mid-air when it was blind. You just cue the bush because someone could be in there, but perfect timing for Mickey. Kicks away the cow, and because of it, G2 get their second kill of the game. Leads in mid, jungle, top, bot, and support for G2.
And it only gets worse as well, because Yike, yes, hasn't really cleared a lot of his camps, but like Elyoya, not really in the best of positions now because you've got advantages across the board. So, say, looking at Void Grubs, opportunity to try and play up towards that if you really want to. Dragons also become a big factor for G2, although I think you have to kind of prep the waves a little bit more here off of like the bounce back in mid. Mickey even just hovering mid here to make sure the caps isn't going to be on the business end of some attention from Mad Lions Koi's. Yeah, it looks like we're just going to get a swap. So Elyoya going to move up towards Void Grubs, and looks like it'd be a dragon take here for Yike.
Supa still has the flash here. Mickey's on his way down towards this bottom lane. Flap, flap, flap goes Supa over the wall, gets to safety. Wave, it looks like it's actually pushing towards G2 at the moment. Hans will be pulling out a few of these minions, but there's going to be a lot of CS lost for the MDK AD carry. Ultra Mega Fire Kick sucks his recall, Mickey being a nuisance as per usual. And now G2 will invest time in pushing this wave forward because then Supa has to stay to catch the cannon, otherwise he loses out on all that golden XP.
Alvaro though, hovering mid, caps. Doesn't have his flash just yet, but able to keep far enough back. And I like the Mad Lions Core trying to put some pressure on towards the mid lane to maybe look for something back, and then you can try and turn in towards Dragon with the numbers advantage. But ooh, Shockwave, swing and a miss. It's going to be massive for Caps, who's actually changing to a minion in the mid wave. Going to try and sneak up, it looks like.
Ooh, didn't quite get the stun onto Elyoya. Alvaro over towards the bottom side of this fight. Elyoya and Alvaro collapsing, now realizing maybe we can't take this. Frescowy needs to back, so G2 will get the first Drake of the game.
And I think this is a mistake. I think you should have just gone, right, can't get into position in bot lane because Supa had to reset. We're not really in the position in the map in mid as well, but instead they kind of overforce in the mid lane, hoping that they're going to be able to get some sort of play onto Caps. Doesn't work out. Then they still try and contest Dragon. It means you can't get Void Grubs. So not really the best of trades, and especially with Broken Blade now starting to get control over this top side. Caps also going to be able to shove in this wave with no TP back for Frescowy. I wouldn't be surprised to Yike to just teeter over towards those Void Grubs and try and pick them up for himself as well.
Yeah, at least look for one of them. The Scuttlecrab will spot him out if he does go the conventional route. Can jump the wall though on that rel. Broken Blade has the wave stacked up here a little with a cannon that's going to slowly push towards Mirwin unless anyone touches it. And pathing towards top as well though. The last lane really left for him to look for. Every other lane losing so far. Yike is on his red right now. And Cap's just resetting, means he'll probably just wait here for a moment. The wave is still pushing towards Mirwin, so if Broken Blade does step up a little bit too far, there is that possibility of a collapse. Mirwin running the Ghost on Kasante means no flash all-out insect combination. Q3. Dodge the Intofu strikes, not quite able to connect. Root Caller though on Yike stops his advance. Broken Blade going in onto Mirwin. The wave not in the best of spots for the G2 top laner, especially considering he has no mana.
Yeah, getting the flash out from BB is pretty nice here. You're just sticking around to make sure the Mirren can be a pain as they try and push in this wave. Supa going to take a little bit of damage on the way out.
Summer's going to do a lot of work here. Living Artillery coming out as well. Alvaro looking for the engage. Flashes onto Hans Summer, but one more Living Artillery will be enough. The cow goes down. How now will he fall as Broken Blade dies in the top lane? Yike and BB look for a little bit more. Broken Blade caught out. That flash influential, as you say. Caps looking for Frescowy. Pop Blossom catches him out. Down to about half the Tangle Barbs as well. Shockwave will bring Caps back, and Frescowy actually wins this auto attack trade. Clockwork Wind-Up doing a lot of work for the Orianna.
Still Hans and Mickey getting some revenge for finals. There's a lot of back and forth kills in between these 2v2s, but it's Hans and Mickey that are coming out on top in this one. But BB getting a nice response from Mirren on that top side, getting that kill. So in the grand scheme of things, going to work out for G2, because realistically these two AD carries are going to be the focal point. But we're going to get a replay here on this top side. BB has no flash, using the melee stance to try and return a lot of that mana. That's something that was very nice about the changes to Jace, but not respecting Mirren's engage. And then you're going to have the all-out come through as well. Really nice stuff. And Ayoy is just kind of just here to provide the shields, a little bit of extra moral support as well, and make sure that Mirren not going to fall down when it comes to 2v1.
Just a little bit too greedy there by the G2 top laner. Wanted to get the shove into the tower, but Mirwin kept him at bay, and that's MDK's first kill of the game. They are 2,000 gold in the hole, though, right now. 600 gold lead in mid and 80 carry for G2. Ginsu's Rage Blade already complete as well for Hans Sommer. Expect to see a lot of Blade of the Ruin King Terminus, sometimes Jack Show on the Cogmore right now. Can also go for the Triforce in certain situations. We saw that kind of introduced as, you queue into Triforce for the Sheen proc. I don't think we'll see it here from Hans Sommer, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, I think more than likely going to go for Blade of the Ruin King next, but that's the kind of the thing. Awful lot of the times you see the Blade of the Ruin King first because you want the sustain and being able to manage, but this is where the downside of Smolder is. You don't have a lot of threat in the lane, so you're kind of fine to go for a greedier build in a lot of these situations. Now, Yike being a bit greedy himself, starting to push in, has Mickey and Caps here, needs Hans Sommer to come across to guarantee they've got the numbers advantage, but they may even just look for the dive and say, screw red buff. This Dragon's alone.
Flash over the wall. Mom called. Cannon minion still standing though for the moment. As Super might be locked up in a second. Caps takes them. Hans Sommer did all the work, and Caps reaps the rewards. There's another tower plate as well as the G2 bot lane begins to open up. 200 gold bounty already sitting on the head of the Cogmore. The Melio obviously mitigating some of that healing loss from not going the Blade of the Ruin King first. As Foscawi now caught, Pop Blossom will catch him towards the side as well. Daisy doing everything she can to even out the playing field, as Yike can just jump across this wall in a second, but with Mickey on the way, Cozy campfire enough to heal up Yike. Alvaro gets in, but the Ultra Mega Fire Kick stops him in his tracks. Caps flashing the wall, looking for Foscawi, can't quite get enough damage down to take him out, but Mickey has been on point with those Qs to stop Alvaro joining the battle.
Big time, and the fact that you actually end up winning out on that skirmish that could have gone so disastrously is massive for G2. You got a 1.2k gold lead in bot, a 1.3k gold lead in mid. G2 are taking these skirmishes so incredibly well, and turning on to Foscawi here, like, you're kind of just running out of damage, unfortunately for Caps, where he just doesn't have enough cooldown reduction. The flash away from Foscawi on towards the Q means that he's going to be fine as well, and then this is where it gets dangerous for Yike, but Mickey quicker on the roam, the shield, the Cozy campfire heal, and then this interrupt as well is perfect, because it means Yike just barely able to survive. And again, that shield into another shield with the ignite ticking is just so well for Yike. And even that's one of the rare moments I've seen Dylan Falco react to something.
Usually it's stone-faced as Yike looks for the engage here. Magnet Storm not quite off cooldown yet, I don't believe. Be up soon. G2 though aren't going to make the same mistake that Mad did earlier on. They'll back away. They accept that they can't fight this Drake. They didn't have Prio in mid. And looks like Hans Sommer wanted to back away as well. Has finished that Ginsu's, but we're sitting on a lot of gold as well. Managed to pick up another plate in the bot lane since then. And gets the Berserker Greaves for himself, and now will waddle his way back towards the bot lane.
Yeah, look, at this stage, it's looking a bit disastrous for Mad Lions Koi. You've already got a massive gold lead on towards this Kog'Maw, who's going to be a menace against the later portion of the games. Not even just the fact you have Mickey, who's going to be able to support him and keep him safe from a lot of the lockup that might come through from, say, like Elyoya, but even then, there's not a lot of backline threat to be realistic. And with the control you have in mid for Caps as well, it's just going to get more and more difficult for SKW to try and take the 1v1, opening up Caps to try and go for some of these more creative plays on the map as well. So it does get very difficult. Mirwin,
he goes back in, but Hans Sommer has reinforcements. Mirwin with the all-out Magnastorm, unstoppable with the Pathmaker. Hans Sommer falling low, but Mirwin falling lower as Hans Sommer goes on a killing spree. You can see what was in the mind of Mirwin. Thought he could take the 1v1, and he definitely could have. But unfortunately for him, G2 reinforcements arrived too quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically going to be the most pampered dog you've ever seen. By the end of this, there's always going to be the helicopter parents hovering around to make sure that he's got his nails trimmed, going to be well fed, and even at this stage as well, picking up more turret plates on this top side, plus he got the Void Grubs that are going to be there that he's picking up as well. Like, again, G2 very much controlling this early game here.
And by doing so, controlling Super and his stacks as well. Super at 77 stacks right now, nowhere near where you want to be on the Smolder at this point. Of course, if the game does go on, Smolder eventually will get to 225. But it is so delayed, and when we get towards those next team fights, Super's going to be nowhere near his power break point.
Yeah, especially with how quickly Hansam is starting to reach his, right? Like, you're already going to reset it. Oh, sorry, has just reset nearly towards the Blade of the Rune King as well. You just end up in a position where once you get to 3 items on this Kog'Maw, you just become an absolute monster. And again, we kind of talked about it already, like, Alvaro is main backline threat with Mirwin, and if one of them can get onto him, okay, cool, maybe Fresskowy can ult, but Fresskowy isn't in the best spots either, so the actual opportunities to pick off Hans Sama are just going to be so difficult unless you are coming in from multiple different angles and just causing G2 so many different issues.
Because if you only have one flank, all that happens is Yike and Caps then engage on the rest of your team when someone dives onto your backline as well. Mickey can definitely keep Hans Sama safe against an Alistar or even against Mirwin. We've seen that already, so it's going to be so hard for MDK to actually find any avenue to approach a fight. Hans Sama now 1.5 items. Super trying to do everything he can, and I wonder how MDK will fight back from this position. Alioya sneaking in, stealing away some camps. He's got Moonstone, so Super will be buffed up as well. Has a pocket enchanter in the form of this Ivern. But Hans Sama has a few more tools in his toolkit right now. Mickey stepping in, flap, flap, flap from Super over the wall. Hans Sama gets the cozy campfire. Fresskowy steals away that remnant blue buff as Caps is losing here to Mirwin. Dashes away with the rocket belt, but Mirwin's still on the chase. That Iceborne Gauntlet doing work. In Tofu Strikes brings the pullback, but not enough damage to force Caps back to the fountain. Will just cause him to reset, so I guess he did force him back to the fountain, just not as quickly as perhaps he would have liked.
Big win, because Mad Lions Koi are trying to set up for a dive onto this bot tier 1, and with Mirwin now winning the top lane, it gives them an opportunity to say, hey, look, yes, G2 are matching our play on bot side, but we are just going to win on the top half of the map. Caps does stop his reset, though, trying to make sure they can catch that wave. Back. Oh, sorry, TP back, was it? Yeah. And I think this is where you're in a position now that if you're Mad Lions Koi, fantastic. If you're able to win out in this 1v1 against Caps, well, now you get to create pressure points on the map that G2 can't really contest with at the moment.
I wonder if Broken Blade will start matching against Mirwin again. At the moment, it's Fresskowy going down towards the bottom side. Broken Blade going into the relative fog of war of his own jungle, although he will be spotted by a ward. 4,500, the gold lead for G2. They still have that Rift held in pocket as well. They want to try and crack this mid lane tier 1, but still Caps and Mirwin battling out towards the top lane. Yank on his way up there as well. Mickey and Hans Sama walking their way up through the river. You can see pings coming out from MDK. They know there's a very strong contingent of G2 players on this top side. And they know Broken Blade doesn't have TP, whereas Fresskowy does. So if they can find a fight, they have the opportunity of making it an outnumbered battle.
G2 do have to be careful about trying to make those migrations up and down river, though, because if you end up in a position where Mirwin was able to collapse from the top end and you've got Alvaro's coming in from one angle, that's kind of what Mad Lions Koi want. Super. Yeah, going to be able to clear out the wave nice and easy. But yeah, you just have to be somewhat careful when you come to this. 6 seconds, though, on towards Dragon. G2 have already completed their journey south and will be able to pick up the Dragon for themselves.
A Farsight alteration in the blue pit. It looks like one, but if that's an actual ward, there is an opportunity for Mirwin to TP in behind. It is a Farsight alteration, so can't TP to that. Dragon secured by G2, their second of the game. MDK did stop the stacking earlier on, so Mirwin stays up towards the top side. It's Broken Blade going up to answer him, and both the mid laners down towards bottom lane.
I would say Cloud Soul, though, for Hans Sama. Yeah, it's going to be a bit annoying.
Also for Caps.
True.
it's quite nice. Even for all of them obviously is beneficial, but it's pretty deadly in the hands of G2. Cloud Soul very powerful. I think underestimated because it used to feel like one of the weaker souls, but now it's in a very strong position. Movement speed, one of the most overlooked attributes that you can have in League of Legends. Just makes you so much stronger than your opposition, especially at this level where it's all about those micro movements, those little side steps, those little jukes, getting to the play first. As Super gets to these Razor Beaks first, trying to get some of these for his Q stacks at 136 right now. Still about 100 away from where he would like to be. Caps looking for the engage, doesn't quite land on Super. There's the stun from Alvaro, but he's going to have to back away because G2 are overloading this mid lane. They're not using the Rift Herald as of yet. Feels like they really want to hold on to that one, but still that mid lane tier 1 stands for MDK, so they are forcing G2 onto the back foot ever so slightly, or at least delaying what G2 want to do.
Yeah, I like Madlan's Courage just trying to match G2 on the macro side of things, and it's working out relatively well for them, where they're just trying to transition across and again use the pressure point that is Mirwin, and they're making G2 work for it, right? You've got the push now on top side, which is why Madlan's quite feel comfortable to just take a bit of a nose in towards the top side jungle to see what vision control they can get down, let Mirwin play that a little bit aggressive, but it's also trying to open up an avenue for Mirwin where he can just try and collapse across. Like if you guarantee that there is no vision here, as soon as Mirwin dips into Fog of War like this, it becomes a lot more difficult for G2 to be able to put pressure into the mid lane or contest you on the mid wave, and again, that just opens up more room for MDK.
Perhaps it's just the least subtle say, oh, I wonder if this minion was actually able to come from that bush. Caps walks in, Super has to back away. The rest of his team were on a reset, so he respects it. Rift Herald now charging up towards the top side. It's not going to make its way anywhere near a tower, but eventually may get there, as Broken Blade is pushing out that wave. So tower in the mid lane falls. G2 finally get the prize they've had their eyes on for the last couple of minutes, and it's at 2.5 minutes before the next dragon. Rift Herald now working her way through this lane, but with Mirwin here, don't think it will get a charge. Mirwin's underneath the tower already. Depends how safe he wants to play. He does have a bit of vision control around him, so knows that he is not being collapsed on, at least by the majority of G2.
So the G2 starting to move in. I think the big one that you're looking at is to see, okay, can we try and get to like another item breakpoint for Super before we really have to fight? Because if you can get towards like Spear Shojin as well, you're in a good spot, but G2 don't really want to let him get there.
Super's needed to flash that. The Magnet Storm comes out. Super's locked up. Yeah, okay. Okay, Super. That was greedy not to flash early. The thing is, like, if you do flash, Yike can hold his and wait because it's just flash Q, but I really feel that Super, after he used the flap and realized that Yike was getting in range, should have just burnt the flash. And now G2 could start up this Baron. They have good Smite secure with the Shadowing Strike into Smite from Yike. Hans Summer will shred through it pretty quickly as well with Ginsu's Blade of the Ruin King. TP into the mid lane by Broken Blade. Caps resetting, he can teleport in as well. But G2 don't have as much vision around here as they would like. In fact, they have none apart from that control ward in the mid lane bush. That's where Caps is going to TP. Mickey falling low. Cozy Campfire going out as Mirwin keeps Yike up towards the top side of the battle. Pulls him back with the Intopus. Frescowy and Alvaro force up away from the fight, and now the collapse beginning from the rest of G2. Mirwin pops the Ghost, has no flash, and is now on the wrong side of the rift. For any more battles with his teammates, G2 will collapse on him. Mirwin just trying to clear out the wave. Locked up by G2, and it's 8-1 the score.
Again, just nice little picks come through for G2. They get Super, now they get Mirwin, which nets them top tower. And this is where it's going to start to get difficult. 45 seconds until Dragon. You immediately get top tower reset here for G2 and go for it. But actually going to caught Mickey.
Root Caller going down. Alvaro going in as well with the Root Caller, and Mom is there for the kill. Super gets it with his ultimate. Importantly, G2 did burn double teleport to make that Baron play happen. They're Dragon up in 25 seconds or so. And with Mickey getting caught out, MDK have a bit of a window as Super flashes forward and just shuts down Hans Summer. Now Hans Summer has a little bit more movement speed in the Acadian Surprise. Won't be able to get the counter kill. Broken Blade trading on the top side with Yike here, but Alvaro's on his way and the TP comes in. And now G2 are the ones outnumbered and MDK have roared into life. Broken Blade forced down towards the bottom. Yike trading with Mirwin. Yike should fall in that battle. Broken Blade should go down as well as Alvaro and Elioya slowly work their way through him. Yike tries to dash away. Mirwin still on the chase with the Pathmaker, but doesn't have the Q3. There it is. Locks him up, and Mirwin takes it. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Super flapping his way away from Caps. Can he dodge? He can't. Caps takes him out.
It's so messy all over the place. Nice job from Super. Again, Spear Shojin Essence Reaver, such a big buff for Super on the Smolder. Aimed to find the kill onto Hans Summer underneath the tower when he was low, but on the top side, you lose out members of G2, then Caps is able to bring it back. So it's a bit all over the place, but a bit of an even Steven, all said and done. Like Frescowy trying to stop the backs in thinking, hey, look, we can try and get this Dragon if we hold on. But it means that he's in a terrible position. But Redemption, the shields from Frescowy coming through from both items, his own E, then Elioya with the shields, being able to reposition as well. Alvaro just standing in front of a lot of people, blocking the damage that Phoebe is trying to churn out. And then Mirwin having that TP to follow up here as well. Super important for Madlan's Koi to be able to finish members off. But then in the mid lane, Super sticking around that little bit too long. And Caps wasn't even hidden. He's just able to chase him down with the speed up he gets off his W. And then the Hextech Protobelt just closing the distance as well.
We need to see the start of that fight. Maybe Caps was a minion or something, a little bit deceptive for Super, but yep, Super just getting caught out again. Did have a great play in the mid lane, though, to kill off Hans Sommer, who is 2.5 items. The same for Super. That goal lead still 1,000, but nowhere near as consequential as it was a few moments ago. G2 in the picture-in-picture took the Dragon, their second cloud of the game. Super now at 206 stacks. And we are only 19 away from that execute threshold being met. Alvaro going for this control ward, has the Cosmic Opposition, so relatively tanky on the cow. Mirwin, though, will clear it out. Topside control gained for MDK.
This is just, again, kind of a bit of a waiting game until objectives, right? Because on MDK side, they're like, hey, look, if we can maybe fish for a couple of picks, cool, but realistically, we just want Super to stack as much as possible, getting very, very close to that 225. But on the opposite side for Hans Sommer, if he ends up finishing off this Ruin's Hurricane, he becomes a menace in a team fight with the amount of AoE damage that he's going to be able to do. So I think both teams kind of happy to handshake the slower pace at the moment.
Yeah, we're probably 2 waves away from Super hitting the threshold. He needs 13 more stacks, steal away a jungle camp or something, or if we have a cannon wave coming in, which we should, getting over towards the 25-minute mark. Caps takes the tower in the bot lane. It's G2's third of the game, and still their gold lead around 4.5 to 5,000. Depending on the ebb and flow of the lanes. There's the Runans complete for Hans Sommer. He's got an Ardent Sensor as well. He has a Knight's Vow. There's an Abyssal Mask on Yike. Like, Yike and Mickey are just pure utility, pure support in this game. Obviously, the engage from Yike can be very powerful in the fight, and you know Mickey has tools in his toolkit as well, but most of the time it's about buffing Hans Sommer and Caps.
I think the interesting part of how G2 operate is going to be who's marking who, right? Because it's kind of like Caps can mark Mirwin maybe, or can try and mark Alvaro, and then Yike try and marks the other person, right? To make sure that there's always someone keeping track of where these members are. And this was something that we kind of looked at a lot for, like say a team like JDG at Worlds, which was why they were so good, is how good they were at marking the multiple different attack angles. But we have to see Caps with the team if he wants to try and mark someone, because right now it's just Yike, and he doesn't fancy those odds. So just going to hop his way out from under the tower. But I think that's why Madeline's Koi feeling a little bit more confident, because if it is just Yike that they're trying to deal with, it becomes a bit easier for them to try and bypass some of the front line that G2 have.
Caps pushing in that bot wave. Mirwin is going to answer it. Super over the threshold now, 227. We'll stop talking about the stacks for a little while until he gets to some ludicrous number, like 500. But it is where Smolder really comes online. Rapid fire cannon as well for him, enhancing the range of that possible execute. It's 2 minutes before the Cloud Soul for G2 if they were to secure the next Dragon. For the moment, it looks like lane assignments are just Caps going bot, Broken Blade going top, Hans Sommer, Yike, and Mickey acting as the mid lane defense for this tier 1.
I still think it's just a case of a waiting game, unfortunately. I thought this was going to be way more of a banger. I thought this was going to be...
We had a really explosive, like, 2 minutes, and then everything's kind of calmed down again. Daisy used in the mid lane here. That tower has backdoor defenses and the TP behind as Caps will look for this. Has that Pop Blossom. Yike looking for the engage as well as Mirwin's on the front line. The Scowie forced off towards the top side of the fight. And Summer has a wall between him. Caps. Alvaro can just collapse on him, but Caps flashes away. The flap as well means Super's out of the fight. Ayoy has the redemption to heal him up for Scowie on the back line, but Mirwin there as well. Caps falling lower, but Super can't quite get the final bit of damage down. And Summer knocked into the middle of the team, but there's the Magnus Storm, and now Super has to deal with the Cogmore on his face, and he just can't do it. But Scowie will fall afterwards. And what a perfect fight from G2. MDK threw everything they could at it, the kitchen sink to boot, but at G2 in the end come out all 5 players alive.
Both teams trying desperately to get onto the enemy AD carry, but with his dying breath, Alvaro thought maybe he'd secured it, but Yike, just like an angel over the wings of Hans Sommer, keeping him safe, and now just like that, game's over.
Just over. G2 just roared through the base, ripped through it, and straight down the mid lane. They will look for the Nexus. Alvaro and Adeoyo trying to defend, but they can't do anything against all 5 members of G2, who go 2-0 on the week.
Hans Sommer and Mickey, the fact that they got that early lead over Super and Alvaro was massive in this game. The Kog'Maw coming on significantly earlier than you would have expected with the 5 kills that he picked up coming in towards the end of that game. And then from that point on, G2 just kind of knew as soon as we get some sort of team fight, we're going to be so incredibly strong. And Caps the TP in, just closing out nicely.
A lot of credit to Mickey as well. That early game, the Ultra Mega Fire kicks really changed the landscape of the fight, because he was almost dead the first time, manages to flash over. The second time we see Yike almost dying, but he manages to get away as well because of Mickey landing those couple of kicks. And sometimes that's all it takes to change an early game. A couple of kills over to MDK.
It really was like a cattle prod. It's like, it's not something that does an awful lot of damage, but it's just enough to keep the cattle at bay.
Just keep moving, just keep moving. You can vote for your key